Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello and welcome, all you internet people, to Those Were the Days, the show where we talk about old TV through a modern lens with nostalgic eyes. Tonight, we welcome you into the secret laboratory of the Those Were the Days orbiting HQ, and tonight I am joined to talk about a wonderful show with everyone's favorite superpowered monkey, Travis.
Yeah, Wise Guy Lab Supplies, Jimmy speaking. Hey, Dex, my best customer. How you doing this week, kid? Yeah, no, you need a place in order? Yeah, sure, fire away. Okay, let's see. We got 1 case of Pyrex beakers, 2 cases of Petri dishes. Got it, yep. 2 12-packs of root beer. Ooh, busy week. An electron microscope, a positron collider. Yeah, I think I got another one of those laying around. And sister repellent. Yeah, just a second. Hey, yo, Vinny. Yeah, grab one of them cans, just put the label on it. Yeah. Nope, yep, I got exactly what, yep. Special formula just for you, my #1 customer. All right, look, I'll put all this on your account. I'll get Joey and Vinny over there tomorrow morning. All right, kid, have a good one. Say hi to your mom for me.
I love Travis. Travis's supply store is just the best. All right. And also the best sister anyone could ask for, as long as she's not wrecking all your science, Amy.
As someone in their 40s with a lot of dental issues, my favorite dinner is also applesauce and medicine.
And of course, the man with the answers before you even ask the questions, Audie.
Hey, pal, welcome to new school. I'm your new student buddy, so I'll show you. There's the locker. The gym's that way, lunchroom's down there, and here's our first class. Be prepared to never answer a single question. Well, it's because we've got a smart kid named who knows all the answers all the time. Teachers always call on him, or he just is, and they all love him for it. I figure out how much he knows and just promote him to whatever grade he should be. Why have to suffer just because he's a genius? He just ruined her. Another new kid. What his name was? Man? Weird name. Wait, what? Oh my god. Another super nerd? Well, there goes entirely.
That's amazing. Oh, that's right. Well, if you listen to those intros, then you might have an inkling that we're talking about Dexter's Laboratory, show that aired back in the mid-90s on Cartoon Network there. First premiered in 1995 as a What a Cartoon pilot. I gotta say, as I was researching this show, it had been a long time since I thought about What a Cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, there was a weird time back on Cartoon Network where there was the What a Cartoons and there was Toonami and stuff, like all that. Just barely remember it, but it's in there somewhere, rattling around in the old marble cage that is my brain. But yeah, so it premiered on 1995 as a pilot episode for Cartoon Network's What a Cartoon. But then it became official on April 27th, 1996 as Dexter's Laboratory on TNT, which then quickly went to Cartoon Network and TBS because it's Ted Turner's stuff. You know,
Yep.
he's all in there with the cable. Ted Turner knew what was up. Every time I think about TBS, quick side note. I've been to see George Lowe of Space Ghost Coast to Coast fame speak many times, talk to him about stuff. He had an announcer that he always loved how he pronounced TBS. He would say, "Tonight on TBS." Like TBS. So every time I think about TBS, I can't say it in my head like TBS. Tonight on TBS, Dexter's Lab.
It's like WNBC.
Yes. Yes. There's always that guy's got to put his own spin on it. But Dexter's Laboratory is a show about a kid somewhere between 6 and 8, according to the creators. They were hesitant to put an actual age on it. And his older sister, younger kid, genius, super genius, knows all the things, has a secret laboratory in his house, and has an older sister that also knows where that secret lab is. and tends to wreck everything that Dexter ever tries to do. That's the general premise, and I mean, honestly, that's a never-ending show generation machine right there. I mean, you could go forever
Yeah.
on Dexter's Laboratory. So I'm going to start, as we do, by going through what y'all know about Dexter. Was that hitting at a time when you were watching stuff on Cartoon Network, that kind of thing? Amy, let's go with you first.
I definitely remember Dexter's Lab like that, but I was thinking about it as I was watching the episode for today, and I don't know that I've ever like sat down and watched Dexter's Lab. I think it just always happened in the vicinity of me. So I don't have like a super strong connection to it, but I definitely am aware.
Sure.
That's about it though.
Yeah. How about you, Audie?
I'm fully with Amy that I knew about Dexter's Lab, had seen enough to recognize like this didn't feel like I was watching something for the first time, but it was definitely something necessary watching regularly.
Right, right. And Travis, how about you?
I love Dexter's Lab and all the cartoons. The What a Cartoon stuff hit, and I dug all of it. Like I remember the What a Cartoon show and the original Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab. There was one that is burned into my memory, and it was like I want to say it was a cat and a shark, and they were like wannabe police detectives. But there was whatever the cartoon was, they were dealing with the Mad Bomber, and there was just a running gag at the end of it where this guy was lighting off all these random bombs, and they just did crazy stuff. Like they had a clown bomb and it goes off, and then the two of them are dressed like clowns, and they had the blues bomb and it went off and they looked like the Blues Brothers. And like I remember that one distinctly. But Dexter's Lab was a big one. I remember when the show started, and I loved the segments Dial M for Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite Dexter's Lab segments ever is the Dial M for Monkey with Rastlor, voiced by Randy the Macho Man Savage, because it's just so good. And it was a spoof of a spoof or inspired by a Marvel comic from the 80s where an intergalactic champion fighter came to Earth and challenged all of the like heavy hitters, challenged Thor and the Hulk, but he ended up sparing the planet because the Thing would never give up. He just kept getting back up. And so they did that, but with Monkey and Rastlor, and it was so good.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
amazing.
I enjoyed the hell out of Dexter's Lab, and this was fun to go back and watch some of these.
Yeah, that's great. I have to stop you from talking too much about Macho Man because I will explode. Like I can't
Yes.
handle it. It's anything with Macho Man in it just makes me so happy. And it's weird. Like when we were talking about, y'all said Hanna-Barbera cartoons, brain immediately goes to Yogi Bear, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, all that stuff. And then what, I can't remember, we were having a conversation post show or something, and Cartoon Network came up and it was like, oh, that was Hanna-Barbera. Like Hanna-Barbera with Cartoon Network had a whole resurgence of new stuff. Like I mean, you had your Top Cats and all the wacky cat, all the things that Hanna-Barbera came up with. But then Cartoon Network, it wasn't Hanna-Barbera cartoons anymore. Like right out of you didn't really just see it. It wasn't, the style changed. It was a little bit more crazy, but the DNA is definitely there.
Oh yeah.
In all
The
that
DNA is there.
Cartoon Network stuff.
What you really saw with the Cartoon Network stuff was the individual animators getting a little bit more of a voice in it. It didn't all look like Hanna-Barbera, but it also kind of looked like Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
And they would have references to old Hanna-Barbera shows and bits and characters in their new stuff because they were allowed to use that. And that's where, I mean, Craig McCracken doing Powerpuff Girls and part of Dexter's Lab, Jenny Tartakovsky doing Dexter's Lab, and they all worked together, and they all went on to do some amazing stuff. But yeah, it all had that DNA of Hanna-Barbera in it, and I love that.
Yeah, it feels like a free, do whatever you want, try some stuff kind of world that Hanna-Barbera had done 13 episodes at a time, throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s. And then we get to this moment when cable TV, like, we can do a whole channel of cartoons, y'all. Like, we can make a whole channel out of nothing but cartoons, and kids will watch it. We'll sell Captain Crunch. It'll be great. We'll make a fortune. It'll be fun, they really just kind of took the. You're right, Travis. And is it Jindy Tartakovsky or Gindy Tartakovsky? Now you've said it Jindy, and now I'm confused. I want to make sure I say his name right.
I have probably heard it both ways, and I'm
Okay.
sure whatever way I pronounce it is wrong. But
I've always said
Yeah,
Gindy because it was Russian in origin, right? Sorry, Audie.
Yeah, I think that's the more correct way.
Okay, all right. Just going. We'll go with the hard G for tonight, but y'all tell me GIF, write it in. we know you get angry about these things, so just let me have it. But yeah, so Gindy Tartakovsky is the one who developed Dexter while he was still at Cal Arts. So there's a handful of people that came from Cal Arts to Cartoon Network, which is an art school out in California. Whoa, that's how that comes together.
Yeah.
They all came, like they brought a bunch of people from there into Cartoon Network to do stuff, and it kind of reminded me of the Pixar A113 classroom that a bunch of the Pixar artists and cartoonists came from. It's almost like if you just are in the right place at the right time with the right talented people, you could potentially also be a famous director or storyteller. Because you look at these places like, Second City, Chicago in the 70s. Hey, welcome to SNL. You're just in the right place with the right people making you better, it seems is what the gist is. So, we're waiting for our call. Just saying, I'm in the room with plenty of other amazing people. Like, let's go. But yeah, so that's kind of how this whole crew of folks that came over to Cartoon Network and did the Powerpuff Girls and everything, they're all friends. And Gindy Tartakovsky at Cal Arts developed Dexter second. Who did he come up with first? Dee Dee. He just had this idea for a tall, like lanky ballerina girl, which would become Dee Dee, and then it was just like, she needs an opposite. So what's the opposite of this? A really short little boy who's like short, squat, and doesn't look like he could do a pirouette for nothing, which is what we got out of Dexter. In the show, it was originally going to be called Dartmouth and Daisy. But he decided that didn't really roll off the tongue very well, and that was when they were developing the pilot, like early on. They were trying to come up with names for it. McGindy's quoted as saying, "Dee Dee came first, and she was really the star of the show to me. She was so much fun, and then later on, I started on Dexter, and he took over. So it kind of, I mean, a story about Dee Dee would probably be fun, but a story about Dee Dee wrecking Dexter's ambitions is like even better. Let's just do that. That sounds like a great time. So this show, I mean, it was really popular for the time it was out, but it did have a little bit of that Hanna-Barbera curse of only living so long. It only made it 2 seasons initially, with 39 episodes, which, I mean, that's in Hanna-Barbera terms, that's
that's actually pretty good.
yeah, it's like what, a millennia of Dexter shows in Hanna-Barbera
pretty
time.
much.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So made it 39 shows, and then Ginny had to stop. He said he was exhausted. He said making Dexter's like having 10 children at once or something like that. Like it is intense. So that stopped for a little while. Then he came back in '99 to do Dexter's Laboratory Ego Trip, a made-for-TV movie. Got more interested in it, and it was revived in 2001. But Gindy didn't come back to it because he was already going into Samurai Jack, which is great choice. Samurai Jack's unbelievable. Like, you should do that if you're going to do anything. That sounds great. And Chris Savino took over as the creative director and then ran it for the following 2 seasons until it just ran out of steam. And you've got your the actress who played Dexter, Christine Cavanaugh. She wanted to retire from voice acting for personal reasons. So they were like, well, there goes Dexter. And then they bounced around. They had 2 actresses play Dee Dee in alternating seasons, which is kind of weird. Like, you would think they'd have one for 1 and 2 and then one for 3 and 4, but it didn't work that way. They had Kat Cressida, I think, did season 1 and season 3, and Allison Moore did season 2 and season 4, which is kind of wild.
I never knew there were 2.
Yeah, there were
honestly.
2. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good for sound-alikes.
Yeah.
And there's probably some other voice actors you would recognize playing bit parts here and there. Rob Paulson, of course, was in there. Travis's favorite person, D. Bradley Baker, was in there.
Maurice LaMarche was in the episode we watched. He was the voice of Simeon.
The voice of Simeon.
Love
So
Maurice
good.
LaMarche.
His voice is very good. Kath Soucie, who I'm a big fan of because she was in several Tim Schafer adventure games, playing characters, which I was like, hey, I know that voice. So that was pretty great. And then Eddie Deason playing Mandark. I was like, where? I've heard this voice a million times, but where from? Oh, any nerd in any movie
Yeah, literally
ever
all of them.
is Eddie Deason. He's playing that guy.
Also, love the gag of Mandark saying his name and like lightning and flashes of imagery, and then the teacher being like, "What was that?" and then just going back to whatever they're doing. It's very, very good.
It's very good. Yeah,
There was also some Frank Welker, by the way.
Oh, was Frank
I
Welker
mean,
in this
that's
too?
a-
Yeah.
that's like a
Monkey.
given.
Oh, he was a monkey. Is there an animal
Again,
in the
animal
cartoon?
sounds.
Frank
Of course.
Welker. Let's get him on there. Yeah, he's good, man. So we can start walking through this particular episode and things we enjoyed about it. I'm on. So I asked you guys what your relationship to Dexter was, and you might think, dear audience, you might be wondering, why, Stephen, what is your connection? I don't have one, like none at all. Like I just picked the show. I'm like, that sounds cool. That's more recent. I love the art style. I love Genndy Tartakovsky's art style. We talked about that a little bit already. So I'm like, I've never really watched Dexter. I was aware of it. Like friends in the next room might be watching it while I'm doing something else. That's kind of how me and Dexter worked. And even Johnny Bravo. I remember being like, I really want to watch this stuff, but I never knew when it came on.
Johnny Bravo.
This is going to blow your mind, internet dwellers. But at one point, you couldn't watch a thing if it didn't,
Whatever
if
you
you weren't sitting down in front of the TV when it was on. So I didn't know. I was very bad with scheduling television. I didn't know when stuff came on. I just turned my TV on and then whatever was there, and
I
it was
literally
rarely
had this
Dexter.
exact. I had this exact conversation with a 9-year-old yesterday,
Oh,
and he looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears. He had no idea what I was talking about at all.
Yeah.
Back then, when we wanted to get on the internet, it yelled at you for the first 30 seconds to warn you of the mistake you were making. Now you just get on there and you
You're just
pretend to
always
have fun.
there.
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
you
you
live
just
here
never
now.
leave.
You just live on
On
the
the next
internet.
level, I definitely remember watching some of this stuff on Cartoon Network when we're working on our projects, have it in the background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just, you hear someone, you're like, wait, what did they say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're like, wait, what joke did they get away with here?
yeah, it's good stuff.
We saw
Um,
Dexter's butt, and I was like,
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Multiple
child.
times.
"What?
we saw it and sat.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the whole. That was actually my first note in this episode. Dexter butt was not what I expected at the start of this show.
Hmm.
Yeah, here
Now,
we
and
are.
this was one of the picked up as a series segments was
Mhm.
Dexter going to school.
Yeah,
So it was one of the pilot ones that was part of like What a Cartoon. I think it was the one that wasn't aired as part of What a Cartoon, but it was made
Yeah.
for that, and then they just packaged it up, put it in the series.
Yeah, it was meant to be the first episode of the season because it introduces you to Mandark for one, his arch nemesis. You get your dial in for monkeys and stuff going on, and you
Which
got.
I definitely did not remember that at all.
No,
Like
I
that. No. was
I
like,
don't
"What is happening
remember
right
it.
now? What is happening right now?
I don't remember it because I never watched it, but the characters were everywhere. Like I remember
Yeah.
him for Monkey being everywhere. It's kind of like Powerpuff Girls stuff. You know, you saw it everywhere, but you never watched the show. But I'm familiar with Mojo Jojo.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yep.
it
Mojo
permeates society. These cartoons at that time just was
Hmm.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But that does bring us to
weirdest
the.
when
Go
I
ahead,
was gonna
Audie.
say, the weirdest thing hit me when Mandark started talking
Mm-hmm.
because he reminded me of a camp ad at camp. I don't want to. I'm not trying to disparage homeschooling, but this particular camper was the representative of the stereotypical homeschooling and talked just like Mandark. I remember being at camp out. We're at camp. We're roasting hot dogs, and he comes over to the table. Me and my buddy Lewis are there, manning the and everything. The kid comes and goes, "So what should I do with my hot dog when it's to the proper temperature. I look at my buddy. I'm like, I can't do this. It's been a week. I can't do this. And he looks at the kid. He's like, dude, just put it in a freaking eat it.
Oh no.
It's just,
Oh man.
yeah, I've been very conscious of children now that I have one and what they're capable of, and just trying to ensure just please don't be the kid that shows up at camp and doesn't understand marshmallows. Like, we just got to get beyond that. Got to send
I
you
feel
out
like
there.
I feel like this level of cartoon, like this age of cartoons, was when they realized, because this was when like we of the 80s, right? We're teenagers now, and they've realized that they can sell us more than action figures and breakfast cereal. They can put this stuff on everything.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. They have figured out that there is a market for cartoons with jokes for people that are in their teens.
Yeah.
And this is a roommate I had when I first left my parents' house, my first ever roommate. This was his jam, like the whole Cartoon Network. Invader Zim was like his favorite thing. I had stopped watching
Oh, yeah.
cartoons years before, not because it wasn't like I thought anything was wrong with it. It just wasn't my jam anymore. I'd
Yeah.
moved. I was watching like Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith flicks and stuff, and I just wasn't watching cartoons that much. And so I was like, "What is this? I don't understand. What is cartoon? I don't.
Say,
What
I'm
is the cartoons
not
done?"
there to you to the cartoons you should be watching at the time.
Yes, I need
Mhm.
some help.
Yeah.
with knowing what cartoons
'cause-
to watch.
Because I was doing both, right? I was watching
Mhm.
Tarantino movies and I was watching these cartoons because, like, we're of that perfect age where we were there when like Ren and Stimpy started,
Yes,
and it was like a cartoon that ran on a kids network that had no business being on a kids network,
none. Yeah,
and everything they got
Mhm.
away with, and then that dovetailed into things like Invader Zim, and then over on
Mhm.
Cartoon Network you had all these what a cartoons. I found the title of the one I was talking about, by the way. It was Fish and Chip, and fish spelled PFISH,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
and
good.
Chip, and they were a shark and a cat.
Amazing.
That's so great.
But like you had, I mean, it was Johnny Bravo, it was Dexter's Lab, it was Cow and Chicken were part of the
Mhm.
What a Cartoon.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Courage the Cowardly Dog came out of What a
My favorite.
Cartoon.
I am Weasel.
Like Courage, I Am Weasel. Yeah, that was
Mhm.
another good one. So many things that came out of What a Cartoon, and it just to have like that idea is so brilliant to just put all this stuff in there and see what sticks,
Mhm.
and then it spins out into a show. Like I remember going to the theater to watch the Powerpuff Girls movie
Oh,
when it came
yeah.
out in 2001.
Yeah, I had a Blossom sticker on my guitar for a long time because it was nothing cooler. And my buddy who played bass in the band had a Buttercup sticker on his. So we just had Powerpuff Girls stickers all over our
Nice.
guitars going to play our punk rock shows because there was nothing more punk rock than the Powerpuff Girls at the time.
Hell yeah.
People
True.
might not realize that, but that's what it
Well,
was.
and cartoon busting out there got cartoon work, but you also had stuff like MTV's into anime stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
the liquid television and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Clone High. I really liked that show back, and that's out again. I just
Ooh,
haven't.
you know
caught
that's
up.
back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
back. I haven't caught it. I want to watch it because I remember really digging that show back in the day. But we could talk about the ecosystem, the environment around this cartoon all we want, or we could talk about the cartoon and what we watched and whether we had a good time. Dexter's Rival was the first part of this episode. There's 3 segments. There's like your segment with Dexter, your micro segment, and then your next segment with Dexter. That was the kind of the theme back then. You tended to have short cartoons like broke down into 3. That was not unusual at the time. But this is the one where we meet Mandark for the first time, where Dexter is pumped to go to school. He's in the shower without the curtain pulled, with his butt hanging out for everybody to see, and you're like, I don't know if I should watch this. And that's the part where everybody who's like sheltered's mom went over and like, I don't think so. But
Yeah.
we've gone too far.
That's too much.
Yeah, we've just what are they doing to kids these days? Dexter goes to school. He's pumped because he's the kid that answers all the questions. He knows all the answers. And I'm convinced the teachers don't actually like that kid, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I know I don't like that kid. Once a kid answers 3 in a row, you're like, okay, stop. Like, just quit. You're trying too hard. But Dexter gets there ready to answer questions. And lo and behold, somebody answers it before it's even asked. What was that? And you immediately see Dexter gets crushed. I felt real bad for him. You know, he was ready to have a great year again, and this has been stolen from him by Mandark, voiced by Eddie Deason, who just think of the nerd voice from any movie, and that's him.
Yeah, any of them.
That's him. You got him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's purpose built for that. Like I don't really know what else he could do as a person.
Yeah, it's sort of been engineered for it.
Yeah, he's built that way. But he's obnoxious. He's a know-it-all. He has Dexter just pinned. He's like, I'm gonna crush your soul because I'm way smarter than you, and you know it. And I'm a psychic. I know what you're thinking. All this stuff. So Dexter gets all sad and he gets all shut down. He's defeated. He walks to school in the rain. The next day is just a total bummer. And that's
So
when
he has a breakdown at his locker and apologizes to his poster of Albert Einstein.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh.
let you down. I was like, oh no, God.
Yeah, you just want to hug him. So he ends up going to school the next day, and he's all ready for his bummer of a day. When Mandark approaches and tells him, like, "Hey, it's time for you to shut down your lab, turn everything off, forget you. I'm gonna win. So what are you even trying for?" Dexter does it. Dexter shuts down his lab for Mandark because Mandark threatened him. It's like you what are you even wasting your time with Mandark? By the way, who has a Death Star in his yard?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was wild. All right. But see, Mandark does have a weakness. Mandark's weakness is Dexter's beautiful blonde sister, Dee Dee, who he sees bouncing down the hallway, happy as she can be, ignoring him, goes right past him because, why? Why would you bother? And at that point, he decides, hey, Dexter, I want to date with your sister or something. I can't remember all the specifics because I got too excited. I started watching the cartoon instead of taking notes, and that's where it ruined. That's where I knew I was in. I was like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. Let's learn more. So Dexter's all like, I don't know about all this. And then he realizes, oh, snap, Dee Dee is the answer to my problems because she ruins everything I ever try to do. And if she goes over
This
to
was
his
my
lab.
My favorite segment when Dexter's telling him Dee Dee, and then he has the 5 Dexter angels around. He's like, oh, now he's gonna be, and he's gonna want Dee Dee there, and if there, and then they all realize,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. That's so good.
let's give him.
So good.
Let's make this happen. So, also, by the way, did anybody else hear the fairy fountain tune from Zelda play like randomly in that? Was that just me? I should have captured
No,
it.
I think I did hear that.
You heard the fairy fountain? I totally heard the fairy
Yeah.
fountain. Like the first 8
Mhm.
notes. Doodle doodle
Mhm.
doodle doo, like something like that. I was like, what? That's a fairy fountain. Holy cow. But yeah, so Dee Dee goes over to Mandark's house and just he wants to dance, right? He's gonna pick her up with the dancing. And he's got like the Mexican hat with the doodles hanging off the brim, and they start dancing. Dee Dee loves to dance, but when Dee Dee dances, this is not just you're not just dancing in one place. No, she's all over the
Nope.
place. She's throwing him around, kicking things, breaking levers, pushing buttons. And it blows up everything. And Dexter celebrates in a way that I think I want to celebrate things. A root beer in a martini glass.
Yep.
You can't beat
Yep.
that.
So in.
No, it's fantastic.
That's how you
It's so good.
celebrate. Yeah. I was like, that's a martini glass with root beer. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what does him in. That's the end of that particular segment, right? Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Nah, that was
Okay.
it.
That was it. I mean, they go by quick, but they're fun to watch. And then we go straight into Dial M for Monkey, Simeon, which I didn't really realize this was a recurring segment until we decided to do this show for this episode. I was like, oh wow, all right, I'll take it. So Monkey is a super powered monkey. Did Dexter create it or Dexter did not create it? Does anybody know that backstory?
Dexter, the backstory is like the beginning of Dial M for Monkey, where Dexter experimented on him and nothing worked, and he's just a monkey. But
Yeah.
then he puts on the super suit and he's Monkey.
He gets called from
And-
space by Agent Honeydew.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then he flies off to space. He rescues Agent Honeydew. And then he's got a new threat has appeared. And Monkey goes to see this new threat, and it's this simian, who is this giant ape with a smoking jacket, who's telling him all about like his terrible life, and also feeds him a really nice seafood dinner. Anybody notice there's like scallops and shrimp and lobster?
Voiced by Maurice LaMarche, doing a combination of like Charlton Heston
Yes.
a little bit in there, and there was like some what's another voice that he does? He started off with a very similar voice to what he did for Brain, and then
Yes.
like mixed it with some Charlton Heston, and as the monkey, as an
Yeah.
ape, and so it was perfect.
This threw me off because there's a new cartoon on Netflix called Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts that has a primate that was experimented on by humans and now wants to take vengeance on them. And I was like, wait a minute, what is happening right
I've heard
now?
this story before.
Very
Turns out
good.
that story trope is fertile
Yeah,
land.
yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of monkeys wanting revenge on humans.
But it's just the outfit and everything was just
This is so good. So he goes into this Shakespearean diatribe of like what has happened to him. It's really well done. He
very
got
good.
hit by the gamma
staring
rays.
out the window was so good.
Yeah. So the simian was hit by gamma rays, which, as we all know, gives you wild powers in every universe ever concocted.
That's how that works.
It won't give you like horrible cancers. It gives you superpowers, gamma radiation. Let me tell you. So he got the ability to create matter from nothing. Like he basically became a god monkey, and he wants the monkey. Dial M for monkey man. What's our monkey?
Just monkey.
Just monkey. Okay.
It's just called Mom.
Okay, he wants Monkey to join him in this fight against the hairless apes for what they've done, which is us. If you weren't playing along at home or weren't keeping up. Star Wars references abound. Join me and we can rule the
So
galaxy
good.
together.
Search your heart, you know it to be true.
You know they've been terrible to you. And then Monkey's thinking back and he's just imagining him and Agent Honeydew just having a heck of a time enjoying themselves. Agent Honeydew treats him well, you know. They go out on like boats and stuff. It's really great memories. And then Monkey does what anyone would do, you know, kill him with kindness. And he gives Simeon a banana. And Simeon's like, oh my goodness. I never imagined that such wonder would come in such a small package or something like that. And he rips off his smoking jacket.
Yeah, he does.
So because he blows up his space station and they land in the jungles on Earth and he's like, this is it, this is paradise. And he rips off most of his clothes. It would have been less upsetting without the underwear. And I was like, when I was in art school, we learned the difference between naked and nude.
Oh.
And nude is when you're wearing nothing and you are as God made you and it's art. Naked is like when you're wearing socks. And so it was just and that's profane. And so it was uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
His nipples made
and
me
then he does, like-
uncomfortable.
The nipples
breasts.
wouldn't have bothered me were they
Anatomy.
not paired with the underpants.
Plus, he does like he tries to make the ape noises, but it's clearly like super intelligent being trying to sound like an ape before he swings off into the sunset. It was so good. It's an amazing voice performance from Maurice LaMarche.
good.
It's really
the
good.
guy's fantastic in everything, but he just went for it with this.
Yeah.
And I love it.
He sold it like he was doing a monologue in acting class, like just really trying to just serious and straight faced as possible.
So, quick aside for me, because I love voice actors, but that's what makes some of these like career voice actors so good. Is they're not just there to do the voice of a character; they are committed. They go full bore. Maurice
Mhm.
LaMarche, Phil Lamar, Rob Paulson, Billy West, all of them. Tom Kenny.
Yeah.
They just go for it, and they turn it into, like you said, Shakespearean, and they just go like they dial it up to a 12 and go so over the top, and it's what you need in something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so perfect.
They match the tone of the cartoon really well. Of what's required. Like Tom Kenny doing SpongeBob in this would not be the same. Wouldn't have the gravitas. Wouldn't be what you needed. But Tom Kenny and SpongeBob is exactly what you need, right where you need it. It's just, and it defines the voice. Then defines the character. Like some of these things, you wonder, like they write it and then they have a couple pilot episodes. You know, they feel kind of wonky, and you're like not real sure. And then by the third or fourth episode, I swear that's because the voice actor has helped hone in on what a character is. So you write him differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. So moving right along, we get into this third section with the tuning fork. I forgot about the little tuning fork interim. That was great. I have a tuning fork. Good. It's great. You can bang it on something. And then you listen to it, and when you can't hear the noise anymore, that's where it's gone to a frequency beyond your capacity to hear. So it's really, really fun to do it with friends and be like, how long did you hear it for? Oh, I heard it for 5 seconds. I only heard it for 3. Ah, you're going deaf. And then you just laugh at each other. Anyway, side note, it's fun. Old Man Dexter is our third and final cartoon, which just, I'm not going to lie. I picked this episode because there was a short titled Old Man Dexter. And I'm an old man, and I just wanted to see how this was going to work. Like, how are we going with the old man-isms? So Old Man Dexter is, is about, you got some fireworks over there, Amy. They're really going to town. Yeah, it sounds like they're setting them off in a trash can in an alley behind your house.
It is literally outside of my window.
Great. Oh,
fantastic.
By the way, this is
right up. No problem.
This is a 3rd of July episode, in case you were wondering why there were explosions outside of Amy's house.
I will edit out as many as I can, but there are some in here.
Don't bother. No, they can be patriotic and enjoy it with us. So, Old Man Dexter, this is my favorite episode because it is such a 6 to 8 year old thing to do. Like if you were a maniac 6-year-old who couldn't stay up late to watch TV with your parents and your sister, like who grew up like this? Like where your older sibling could do things you couldn't do. Like I just figured once there was an older kid, you just did everything the older kid did. Your parents wouldn't let you watch the TV?
No, I was the older sibling.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I was too. I don't remember my sister ever having to go to bed.
I got to do some stuff when my sister had to go to bed. I remember.
Really?
That. There was a period of time.
Mine did too, I didn't care.
We were only a couple of years apart, but there was a short time where I was old enough to stay up a little bit later, and she wasn't quite yet.
I'm sure if I were to ask my parents, they would be like, "Yeah, your sister went to bed," but we were also 6 years apart, so there's a good chance that she did.
My sister was so stubborn. I don't think she would have gone for it.
Yeah. I always figured like Stephanie and I were like, if we had a second one, like I don't know how it would stop it from getting a hold of the same stuff Sam does, you know, if they wanted it. You know, Audie, you got 3 of them. How do you handle it?
2 of them are the same age, so that helps in that. Yeah. And the other one is just 2 years younger, so they just the same bed stuff. Yeah, it's close.
That's not too far off. You can make that work. Okay. Well, so this is what happens in Old Man Dexter's. Dexter is told he has to go to bed. It's 8 o'clock, and it's the late early movie, and the parents get to sit up and watch the show with Dee Dee, and he's got to go to sleep, which just sucks.
I would have been mad if I was missing Santa Claus versus the werewolf also.
Yeah,
true. So mad.
And really ticked off.
Killer Leech is a go-go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Creature double feature. This is great.
I'm in. Let's do this. And then they're told to go to sleep. Come on now. So he just decides, well, they say when you're old enough, you can do it you can do it when you're older. So what does Dexter do? Well, what anyone does when they have a crazy laboratory in their house, a secret lab, they go down there and they make themselves older. So Dexter goes down. He's like, I'll be 21. That's a good age to grow to.
Is, pal.
Yeah, your parents will never notice. It's going to be
not at all.
Just settle it up. So he goes in his machinery to turn into a 21-year-old that looks just, he's fit, he's handsome. Shows him a little preview icon. What are you gonna look like? And then Dee Dee comes down. Dee Dee's just like bloop, just hits some buttons because that's what she does. Dexter walks out of there 121. It was way too old, and it just tickled me to death that he had his little cane and his little arm would wobble forward, and then he would catch up with his feet, and his cane would wobble.
The best was when he comes out the door to turn to the stairs,
Yes.
not going down the stairs, but the
Turn.
creaking sound as he turns. Like, it's just so good.
Because it's time for
I love
lunch.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He starts down the stairs. It's lunchtime. When he gets to, it's dinner.
So good. It
With the
was
whole
so
time
good.
Dee Dee calling him Grandpa. I'm not Grandpa.
Grandpa, my grandpa. He said that so many times, and it never was not funny. Like, it was funny every time he
Every
said
time.
it. And then
And what made it work was when the mom calls him Grandpa. And he's like, yes.
yes.
And then immediately Dee Dee says, Grandpa, I'm not Grandpa.
They feed him. He's got they have these steak dinner or whatever they had prepared.
Yeah.
And he gets so excited for it. And they said, "And Grandpa, here's your usual dinner: applesauce and medicine." yes, applesauce and medicine. That's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. And he starts to eat the applesauce, but he's trembling so bad he's just tossing food all over the place. And then Dee's mom says,
you
Dee
do?
Dee, will you please help your grandpa eat his applesauce? And then he's like, he starts yelling about something, then he quietly gets this happy face. It's just zoomed in on him, and it zooms out, and Dee Dee has stuck intravenous applesauce. It's
Oh, God.
very Ren and Stimpy, just like the chunkiest stuff going
Oh,
into
yeah.
his veins.
The
happy.
the bit where he's throwing the applesauce around and the trembling as he's trying to eat it, my friend James used to do. He would eat soup like that. He wouldn't throw it everywhere, but he would, just to mess with a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours. He would eat soup like an old man, and he would tremble. He would get a spoonful of soup and just tremble it all the way to his face. And my friend Joe could not handle it. He would laugh to the point of convulsions, and James just wouldn't stop. And he would eat an entire bowl of soup like that. And we'd be at like the 24-hour diner at 3:00 in the morning, and nobody else is there. And that's all I could think of while I'm watching this trembling hand just flinging applesauce in all directions.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
I also love how episode it's our first mom and dad, and it so encapsulates mom in this series. Question where Dexter in?
Yeah.
They don't question why Grant is here.
No.
Right. Not at
It's
all.
just the flow.
They just
Mhm.
go.
Does not take off her dishwashing gloves,
Nope. Never.
which is gross. Like,
Yeah.
that's don't eat popcorn. That's gross.
No.
You should take those off. Oh yeah. So then he's eating dinner through his veins, and he goes to the couch because he is finally old enough to watch the movie, and everybody's like,
And-
"This is great."
This is where I realized what was about to happen
Yes.
because I am in my
Mhm.
40s and I understand
Yeah.
what's about to happen. And I was like,
Oh,
oh no.
It's dark, and all we have is the light from the TV. I'm gonna fall
Yep.
asleep. Good night, everybody. Yeah, so he gets up on the couch with Dee Dee's help because he's old, and he's like, "Pass the popcorn." And as they pass the popcorn down the couch, Dee Dee goes to hand it to him, and he's already asleep. Grandpa can't stay up this late to watch a movie.
Cheeky CD. No, Grandpa's dead.
Grandpa's dead.
Also, I really loved the joke of when she helps him up, and he's like, "Thank you, Dodo." Die. No, thank you, Billy.
I took a drink at the wrong time when you said that. No, but that was almost a disaster. Thank you, Dodo. And it's so good because it's in Dexter's really weird Germanic, Russian, Eastern
Yeah.
European funky accent that's not real. It's just
Yeah.
the best thing. So I don't know if you can tell, but by the looks of it, I think we all enjoyed Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh
We had a
yeah.
really good time.
I'm also just a big fan of like the silly, simple little 8-minute cartoon that has
Mhm.
like No major plot. I mean, literally, the plot of Old Man Dexter is he wants to watch the late night movie, so he turns himself older and becomes geriatric. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all you, and that's all you need for that.
Yeah.
There's no resolution, nothing, and just do that and go on. And I love stuff like that. It's perfect for just like sit down and watch a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're ending on the punchline. You're not resolving
Yeah.
the issue. You're just
Yeah,
Yep.
it doesn't matter.
we're
It'll be fine.
done.
It
We told a
doesn't matter.
joke. We told an 8-minute joke. Now
It's
it's
the
over.
old Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the pre-movie animation short. And
Yeah.
I that's what I grew up on, so I love those, which is why I loved What a Cartoon so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
really interesting when you said earlier they burn out on this. Like, okay, why? If he's a bunch of 6 episodes, the time he, he's a story. He likes long out story, and you can
Mhm.
that burnout on now because
Mhm.
he wanted to do long
Right.
based kind of thing, short little bit. I'm sure he had fun with. See
Mhm.
how it hurt him out.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, because you're
I mean,
having to
there's
churn
only
them
so
out.
many
You're-
of those you can do.
Yeah,
Right.
you're like a
Mhm.
factory. There's a really good episode of The Amazing World of Gumball that deals with the meta of the writer's room really, really, really well. Gumball is freaking out about being stuck in a room and having to make up a bunch of stories and with just two other people and nothing to go off of. And it's like, wait, I know what you did.
Mhm.
See what you did. It's really great. And
People are made, but some people aren't.
yeah,
Like I said, see where Genny become
Mhm.
he wants to do one thing. Got guys like Matt Stone who in South Park forever. That's their niche
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
of that particular thing. It's just interesting to see thanks and they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the South Park guys, Trey and Matt Stone, Trey Parker, Matt Stone. I don't know how they do it. I like, but it's topical, so they've got a
In
little
a
bit more to go
week.
off of. Yeah, and in a week, but I guess yeah, they're slightly different, but still, you're right. Like anybody get burnt out doing the same thing long enough. I mean, shoot, that's why that's one of the things we do at work is we have burnout prevention stuff just to keep everybody excited about making software all day. Because it's everything do it repeated enough, it kind of can get stale. But yeah,
Yes.
this was a fantastic show. I was not expecting to go down this road when we brought up Hanna-Barbera, but here we are. I'm gonna go out on a limb just for the sake of time and say we'd all probably watch this again,
Oh yeah.
given the
Yeah.
opportunity. You know,
Definitely.
we all had a good time.
I'm going to watch some more Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, bring
There
it
you go.
all.
Yeah, now we're talking. Now you're getting in there. I mean, and it's weird because you could look at the 60s, 70s Hanna-Barbera and all those cartoons, then look at the 90s and just look at the same DNA through another 1,000 different storylines of cartoons. I mean, you brought up 8 of them today, like Johnny Bravo's, I Am Weasel, Cow and Chicken, Powerpuff, you know, the Dexter's Lab, the
Yep.
whole, and then not to mention the Adult Swim stuff they did, where they were just making fun of their old stuff with Harvey Birdman and C Lab 2021 and Space Coast Coast to Coast. They
Yeah.
Cartoon Network, I mean, I don't know how they are today because I don't have cable. I don't watch Cartoon Network. But I want to believe that the spirit lives on, is what they were doing then to what they're doing now. They got a little weird for me at some point when they started coming out with Metalocalypse and the Aqua Teen Hunger Force and stuff. I couldn't get down with it. I laughed a
The
little.
one
So
thing
good though.
The one thing that Cartoon Network is doing now that I do like is that a lot of those shows that just kind of ended are getting movies to sort
Yes.
of tie things up. Venture Brothers is getting a movie. Metalocalypse is getting a movie. Metalocalypse is currently on tour with Baby Metal, and if like I had any desire to actually go to a metal show, this sounds like the most amazing thing in the world.
That
But
would
I
be
am
fantastic because like
yeah,
Metalocalypse is legitimately amazing metal
yeah, yeah,
in general.
yeah,
And then on top of that, the show killed me. It was so
yeah.
funny.
So funny.
See,
And
that's
to
where
see
I
them on
fell
tour
off.
with Baby Metal.
I might need to
Oh.
revisit it because clearly
should.
I need to go back and check this stuff out because I just didn't. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Just
Something
didn't hit right, and that's
didn't hit-
okay.
it didn't
Yeah,
hit
no,
for
that's
me
fine.
at the time. But I could give it another try. Sure, why not? Maybe we'll do it. Well, we can't really do it until as soon as the classic TV
No.
show.
Yeah.
then it's old. I mean, it's
We
not
just
old
start
enough.
another podcast. It's
Let's do
fine.
another one.
We'll just do another one.
That's
Tack it
what we
on.
do. Have you met podcasters
These are the days.
before?
These are the days.
These are the days. Yes.
Where we talk about TV now.
We just talk about now TV. Oh, that's good. Speaking of what's coming up these days, we've got a poll for our next
We do.
category coming up because we're ending Hanna-Barbera next week with Amy, who I'll tell you what
Mhm.
we're going to watch next week.
Mhm.
But for now, let's go ahead and talk about what you're pitching for the next month of shows. So I'm going to go ahead and say I would like cop shows to be an option. Amy, how about you?
I picked Power Couples.
Power couples. All right, so that's like your
That
Rowan
could
and
be
Martins
it could be an
and your-
actual it could be Rowan and Martin. It could be I mean we've covered a few
We
of them
covered- yeah.
already, right? We did Laverne and Shirley, but it could be Cagney and Lacey.
Mhm.
It could be anything that it's pretty open.
Yeah,
Yep.
every show has at least two people. The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
The whole
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, cool, awesome. And Travis, how about you?
I'm going with science fiction.
Oh,
It's a broad topic, but just some good old classic sci-fi of some sort or another.
I'm looking forward to that. That could be fun. And Audie, what are you going with?
I'm throwing out political time. Let's see if we can do this, people.
Political show. Me and Audie are sticking with cop shows and political shows. We're counting on you to make one of those happen because we believe in it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't even have a cop show picked out yet. I just think that would be a fun category. You would think Steven must have one in his pocket for that. No, I don't, but I think it'd be cool. Okay, so cool. The voting is out on Twitter. You can go over to those days show on Twitter, and there's a poll.
Mhm.
If you can read the Twitter, I don't know what's going on, but if you can get
Seems
there,
to be back.
good.
Seems
Okay,
to be
it's
back.
back. It's back.
Nobody breathe too hard. It's
Yeah,
fine.
don't breathe on it. Shouldn't have fired all those engineers. Go hit the buttons to tell what you want us to do, and we will do that for you. If you want to write in, you can also do that at thosewere-the-days-show@gmail.com. We'll take your votes that way as well. Call our phones. I don't know how you guys communicate. Just
Find us.
Just find
We're
us.
not hard to
It's Discord.
find.
Come us there.
Yeah, Discord,
Yes.
tudorx.net/Discord. You can jump in there and tell us what you want us to watch too. That'd be great. And then, so next week, Amy, you are closing off Hanna-Barbera. What are we watching?
Yeah. All right, so by far the Hanna-Barbera cartoon that I have the most connection with, that I watched the most, was probably Flintstones, but we already did that. I am picking my number 2 Hanna-Barbera cartoon. We're gonna do the Smurfs.
Oh, snap.
Ooh.
Yes, please.
Specifically, yeah. So we're gonna do the Smurfs. I have picked the episode numbering on these is of course super shady, so it's fine. This is as it is listed on your HBO app. So it is season 1, episode 35, Smurf colored glasses.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is awkward
can't
and
wait.
uncomfortable. I am very excited.
Oh, that sounds so good. All right, you heard it here. And that's on Max.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So if you got the Max, you've got the Smurfs. So go watch Smurf colored glasses. Of course, the episode, as always, will be in the show notes for you to reference should you not want to rewind 30 seconds to see what Amy just said. It's there. And with that, I think that's it for us. You guys have yourselves a wonderful week. For myself, Amy, Travis, and Audie, we will see you next time on Those Were the Days. All right.
We made it.
We did it. We did it. Audie, it was fun trying to
Yay.
discern what you were